the partnership between Ministry of Health and the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And therefore, mine is to thank that we can put things into perspective, and so that you may be able to understand the chronology of events. I would also like to take this opportunity to express our gratitude to His Excellency Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta and the Cabinet Secretary for Health, Honorable Mutahi Kagwe, for the support accorded to the local manufacturers in fast-tracking the local manufacturing of PPEs. And as an importer of PPEs, we are very grateful for the policy changes made in this regard. So the members of the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce, particularly the National Governing Council and the Board of Directors, are equally very grateful for this support that we have been accorded. So through this program, we shall support hawkers, tailors, Juakali artisans, women and youth, and all those in fashion industry. And therefore, we are here today to petition through the Honorable Health Committee of the National Assembly to assist in ensuring legitimate and genuine suppliers, some of whom are our members, to get more business and paid on time. And therefore, the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce has been at the forefront in proposing both short-term and long-term measures to support the micro, small, and medium enterprises, particularly at the county level, to continue with their businesses, activities with minimal interruptions and ensure sustainability. And Chair, it is good to note that we have signed an MOU with the Council of Governors so that we can be able to partner and see how we can sustain businesses of both our members and the private sector across the country. So to ensure business remain afloat during this COVID-19 crisis, we have partnered with various organizations and agencies to provide continuous skills and knowledge virtually on enterprise and business continuity, working capital, and agencies to provide all this, and also supply chain management amidst this disruption. So I would want you allow me, Chair, just to give you the chronology of events on the manufacture of reusable face masks under the partnership of the Ministry of Health and Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. The 3rd June of 2020, we held a joint meeting with the Ministry of Health and the Kenya National Chamber and Industry and the following stakeholders, namely the Kenya National Federation of Juakali Association. We also had with us JLO Collections. We also had Design 365. We had the JW Show Associations, and also the NES Polypack Limited, to name but a few. And therefore, we agreed on some action points, and it was agreed that KNCCI would provide clear outlines for engagement of the different groups in the production process. And also the production capacity of the different groups, production and delivery of schedules, and list of organizations to be engaged. Following that, on 25th June 2020, KNCCI received a letter from the Ministry of Health, which is attached in the document that we have just provided you, Madam Chair. And this is a reference MOH/admin. This is ADM/1/2/16, volume 1, and in brackets 108, which had specifications for reusable face masks. And therefore, KNCCI received specifications for these reusable masks from the ministry, and on 26th June, we presented the Ministry of Health a proposal on the production of face masks for vulnerable populations across the country. And therefore, on 26th June, the ministry received, again, it is annexed in your document, Madam Chair. And on still the same 26th, KNCCI wrote a letter reference ADM/57 to the Ministry of Health seeking clarification on the initial specifications received due to the following reasons. One, the height dimension of 95 millimeter for teens and adults and 60 millimeter for children who are between 2 to 14 years did not cover the nose and mouth appropriately, and the majority of the samples have come with minimum length. We did recommend increasing these to a minimum of 160 millimeters for teens and adults and 120 millimeters for children between 2 and 14 years. So the synthetic elastomeric material tape of 5 millimeter and 120 millimeters as a minimum does not allow for comfortable fit for teens and adults. So these, our members had a difficult and challenge to, to give samples because it was evident those samples did not meet the specifications required by the public or the users. We recommended a minimum to be set for both age groups, and that of teens and adults be 180 millimeters and children 2 to 14 years be 120 millimeters. On 15th July of 2020, the Chamber sent a letter reference number ORG/13 to the Kenya National Governing Council leaders of all KNCCI chapters across the country, informing them of the program to support the production and distribution of locally manufactured personal protective equipment, and request each county to generate a list of businesses who local producers of reusable fabric face masks, local business which do embroidery, and 3, local businesses which do fabric screening and printing. And therefore, we as KNCCI received a list of businesses from all our counties through the National Governing Council where they're placed, and we have the chapters in all 47 counties. Then on 16th July 2020, we as KNCCI wrote a letter reference ORG/13 to the Kenya National Governing Council to submit samples, and the submission began on 17th June 2020 from all counties. To date, we have received samples from a total of 333 micros, local manufacturers inclusive of the Jua Kali across the country, and the total production of these 333 and their capacity is 1,880,752 masks per day. However, this exercise, Madam Chair, is continuing so that we can get as many members, as many people who would want to participate in this program, and I'm happy that the fourth estate is here. We shall also work in partnership with them so that we can disseminate that information across the country so that we do not leave anybody behind. So to support the production, KNCCI undertook the following. One is KNCCI engaged the fabric manufacturers to support in training to ensure quality services. So that is one of the initiatives that we took ourselves to make sure that also the big players can come and support our members, the micros, and the list that I've just mentioned earlier, Madam Chair. So due diligence was done on the key manufacturers and local producer and manufacturers to purchase materials to subsidized price from the mentioned manufacturers. One, the following fabric manufacturers have responded and provided sample fabrics for production. And again, Madam Chair, these companies are there to support the tailors, the micro, and those in local manufacturing. One, like I said, in capacity building. Two, like I said, to make sure they meet the specifications, and to also make sure that they help them in sanitizing those masks before they are delivered. The companies, namely, are Thika Cloth Mills, we have Sunflag, Rivertex, we do have Kikotech, we do have Bedi Investment Limited, and who has also promised to capacity build on pro bono. And under KNCCI, again, we do have a program, and we would love to support our members who will not be able to meet or cannot be able to meet that capacity, so that we can accord them through a program under the MasterCard Foundation. And therefore, the resilience program, KNCCI shall avail seed capital in form of a short-term interest-free loan for any manufacturer who is in need of finances. And this program has begun already. Then on 17th July 2020, Madam Chair, the Kenya National Federation of Jua Kali Association submitted a letter, which is reference KNF, JKA, stroke CEO, stroke KNCCI, stroke CP, stroke COVID-19, stroke 7, stroke 20, with a list of 33 manufacturers from the counties. And the sample submission began from the counties on 18th of July 2020. And on 27th of July 2020, KNCCI wrote a letter, reference number admin stroke 32, to Kenya Bureau of Standards to support in the verification of samples received from local manufacturers. Again, we had a meeting with them, and they agreed to partner with the chamber to support this sector. So the first list of companies and samples sent to Kenya Bureau of Standards for verification, and also samples continue to be received to date. And again, on action points, KEMSA at the rate of 50 companies per day delivery starting on 27th. This is when now we started to give the samples as well. So on 3rd August of 2020, KNCCI again received a letter, reference number MOH/DC/625/1 from the Ministry of Health, clarifying the specifications for reusable masks. Again, this is annexed in your document, Madam Chair. And on action point, KNCCI received the updated specifications. And this is after the intervention and the challenges our members were facing. Madam Chair, on 7th of August 2020, KNCCI received a letter from Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, KEMSA, on tender number KEMSA/DP03/2020/2021 for the supply of reusable masks. And therefore, KNCCI received this tender document from Kenya Medical Supplies on 7th August and received a letter from Kenya Medical Supplies again, Authority, on tender number KEMSA/DP03/2020/2021 for the supply of these masks. So on 8th of August, we as KNCCI made follow-ups and calls to all local manufacturers to submit their samples and authorization, their authorization letters. And therefore, we as KNCCI received manufacturers' authorization letters from these members and attached them to the tender document. So on 10th of August, Madam Chair, KNCCI started receiving sample test reports from the Kenya Bureau of Standards, and we received sample test reports on the same day. So again, the KNCCI on 12th of August 2020 submitted a response to Kenya Medical Supplies Agency on tender number KEMSA/DP03/2020/2021 for the supply of reusable masks. So then KNCCI responded to Kenya Medical Supplies Authority on tender number KEMSA/DP03/2020/2021 for the supply of reusable masks to inform the authority the update specification for reusable face masks as received from the Ministry of Health on 3rd August 2020 via letter reference MOH/DC625/1. Now, Madam Chair, if you look at Annex 2, there is a table. This is a price table as submitted to KEMSA, and due to the negotiations then we had initially with the previous specification that we had gotten from the Ministry of Health, our tender indicated that reusable face masks for children between 2 to 5 years, the quantity would be 750,000 at a unit cost of 37.5 Kenya shillings. This brought a net total price of 28,125,000. And then the reusable face masks for children between 6 to 12 years, again the unit cost was 38.5 at a quantity of 750,000, which brings a net total price of 28,875,000. The reusable face masks for teens and adults, it was given as 6 million as quantity, and the unit price was 41.5, and the net total came to 249 million Kenya shillings. So a total price for those face masks is 306 million Kenya shillings. However, it's good to note, Madam Chair, that we shall still continue to negotiate, and we shall negotiate with the local manufacturers, because some have different prices. Some are above the 41,000 or above the recommended price because of different issues that they have raised. But this we shall again sit with KEMSA. So the key request, Madam Chair, is to ask or to request this committee under your leadership, Madam Chair, to intervene so that this process can be fast-tracked. I would want to tell you that to date, we have not signed any contract with KEMSA, neither have we received the 300 million as per the earlier agreement. However, this morning, we received a call from KEMSA detailing and requesting that we have a negotiation meeting tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. So we would want to request this committee, Madam Chair, through you, through the Chair, that as a private sector leadership, we call upon the leadership of Parliament for a joint and comprehensive post-COVID-19 recovery process and framework that is well tailored, coordinated to facilitate business recovery and livelihoods. We would want to request to work together to support progressive laws, legislation, and priority recommendations to government on future opportunities for local manufacturers and industrialization in Kenya. We would want the local manufacturers also to get equal opportunity in all government institutions. We would want local manufacturers to get equal opportunities, particularly in KEMSA, so that if they have 100 suppliers for a particular product, the local manufacturers should be given the preference. We would also want to request to develop recovery measures to revitalize export markets, financial support for trade and investment, and environment for job creation, particularly for youth and women as well. And we also request to provide support to help all businesses with essential support to facilitate recovery and means to operate and keep their employees and customers safe through the COVID-19. And therefore, in this regard, we submit that Kenyan National Chamber and Commerce and Industry has demonstrated its capability and commitment to ensuring a transparent and fair process in the support of local manufacturers. And since 12th of August 2020, we have not signed any document, and that should be on record. We have not received any amount of funds from KEMSA. It is then our humble request, Madam Chairperson and honorable members of the committee, to intervene and fast-track this process, to ensure we meet the objectives of the government and the public-private partnership can be met, and at the same time to make sure that we are supporting the local manufacturers, particularly those I mentioned, Mama Boga, hawkers, the Juakali artisans, those in fashion industry. They're all our members, and they have a right to do business in any institution in this country. We would also want, on the same platform, to request, Madam Chair, that you, through this committee, you request the National Assembly to formulate a policy that will support the entire private sector and protect business community. With those few remarks, I still do have, in case of any questions, I will be able to answer. But for that, I do submit.
Thank you for your submission.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. On your first question on how our discussions for tomorrow, I would just want to confirm that we, as the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, have been ready. My committee, under the leadership of the Vice Chamber President, Dr. Eric Ruto, which is also the members, medics as well, have been working round the clock and waiting the day that we negotiate and sign with KEMSA. It reached a point that we could not go further because we needed that engagement with KEMSA. But I would want to confirm to this honorable committee, through the chair, that once the negotiations are in place between tomorrow and probably as early as possible, we have given a total timeline of 2 weeks for the country to receive those masks. On the second question about the number of samples we have received from counties, again, I had mentioned earlier, Honorable Chair, that we do not want to leave anyone behind. And we have sat with Kenya Bureau of Standards, and they have confirmed that they do have branches across the country, and they would also help us in capacity building these members, so that they can also be able to understand on how they can make the samples and how they can meet the specifications. So once that is done, it comes tomorrow between us and them, then I believe that process will be escalated and we shall be able to meet our deadlines as well. But as we said again, through the National Governing Council and through the partnership we have with the Council of Governors, we shall work together to make sure that all people who are in that industry are also included, and more so during distribution, we shall work with those committees within the government and the agencies of the government to make sure that the right people, the right users will benefit from this program.
For us, when we met, we knew we were in emergency. And I think what we were expecting is that the ministry would get people already in the market who can produce, and you identify them. And we are very surprised that by now nobody has received our mask. It is clear that you took a longer view of developing capacity and developing industry. That's okay, but that's not what we expected when we voted this money. We expected to find people who are ready and get the products out. And let me say, we've just been with KEMSA, and we have expressed the same. So I will repeat the question of the chair. All these details, medical people, some of them are there. Medical people don't want all these details. The people are there, they are not sick, but they can be sick. If tomorrow you agree with KEMSA, what date are we going to be told all Kenyans that are vulnerable have got the masks that are available, and the matter comes to us that we have not covered everybody, more money is still needed, and more money can be again made available to the ministry so that people get masks? In the background of how developing in the capacity for the future, that is good. But that is how the way we saw it. When we discussed this thing, I think it was in April when we discussed this matter. So delivery for the emergency, developing of systems and capacity, I think you can come. We can meet again later in the health sector. For example, my greatest passion is how we can reduce the cost of drugs in this country. Again, that I think will lie there. But those are things we can discuss. Now, we wanted masks like yesterday.
I think I'd want to respond to the first question by Honorable Nikal. In terms of your question on timelines of masks. Again, I just said that we have been hoping to be called for these negotiations, which has not happened. However, the ministry, if you look at the documents that we have given, everything moved with speed, and we were anticipating that by now, everybody, all the vulnerable groups will be having the masks. If you go back to my presentation, I said that per day, already the manufacturers who have shown interest can be able to, they have a capacity of delivering per day 1.8 million. So we are saying in a week, actually, they can be able to manufacture. However, there's still another process of packaging. There's still another process of sanitizing those masks. And that's why I gave it 2 weeks. So for that, I'm saying we shall be able to meet those timelines. For the second question, in terms of projections, again, I believe that is one and the same questions. We are looking at 2 weeks. And again, because of the support we are getting from the bigger manufacturers, we believe we shall be able to meet that deadline. There is a third question, Honorable Member, the local manufacturer and why we have not signed a contract. Again, here I've seen also a few challenges. When KEMSA was mandated to contact us, they did very quickly. The communication that is already before you shows you that we have been communicating with them. Unfortunately, because of the changes that have been at KEMSA, then the people who are there, this was new to them, I believe. But at the same time, we have been reaching out to KEMSA on a daily basis. We have been reaching out, but the response is that they are in Parliament or they are in other institutions trying to solve issues that are already at hand. For the fourth question, this is on how we can ensure what confirms or how we can ensure the framework for distribution. Again, here and according to the agreement with the Ministry of Health is that the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry will take lead and all masks will be provided to us as the Kenya National Chamber at our chapters in all 47 counties and then delivered to KEMSA. KEMSA will be doing the distribution. However, the negotiations for tomorrow will touch on the mode of distribution. Should those masks come from all counties to Nairobi, or should they go to the depots of KEMSA and distribution points, or otherwise? Then that way, the negotiation will be able to determine how the distribution will be made. But we, as the chamber, we are happy to offer any support in terms of distribution and to make sure that it goes to the right counties and to the right intended purpose. On Honorable Member, on your question, the fifth question, on about the agreement and how I would characterize KEMSA and also regarding the price of masks. And I'm happy because I'm saying Dr. Nyekal is here, he's a medic and he knows that the reusable mask cannot be used by doctors. That doctors require specific specifications for isolation centers, for ICUs, for wards and at the same time for any COVID-related cases as they interact with the patients. So the reusable masks are there to support the vulnerable groups, and because of the budget again, you want that person to keep that mask for 6 months or more. They can use it a day or two and wash it and continue wearing that mask. So again, that answers your question on prices. The prices that these other masks are costing higher than those local masks is specifically because of the high standards and specifics. I would want to tell you, for example, Honorable Member, because of that question, the mask you're wearing and the mask I am wearing are totally different. What I am wearing is 98.8 filtration, which is conducive for any ICU. I will not think yours for COVID will be conducive for that purpose. So I'm saying, honorable members, for us, we are waiting for this contract, but I would like the chair of the health committee at the chamber, Dr. Eric Ruto, who is our first vice president, just to support my argument.
Want to incur more expenditure distributing these masks. So I hope then you can be, if you have every county covered by these tailors, it will be easier for them to tailor for the county and distribute within the county, instead of them bringing them back to Nairobi and then back again, just to have some value for money. I hope you also be keen with quality. I was just going through your documents. I've seen some of them, you've reached to the Mwananchi. I've seen Kega fashioned in Kikuyu, Kiambu County. But also be careful, Chair, and I heard your vice saying that, your deputy saying that they are reputable companies. Because when I see Mabunia's Construction Company Limited doing reusable masks, then I am hoping then you will not be duped to be given just for sample case, and when the real work will be done. I've also seen another one, Tolu Cleaning Services, and they say they are renowned for producers of reusable face masks. So maybe it's a business name. I will not judge them on face value, but just be careful.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So that we give Kenyans quality, and of course we get value for money. So as you work with the KEMSA tomorrow, I hope then you can be able to sort out that the ministry can actually give you their plan of distribution, whether it's the Interior or it's the Ministry of Health, so that then for example, in Nairobi, then we need this number of masks, let them be produced in Nairobi. Then we'll have, the weight will be worth. But it would not make sense if the masks are made in Nairobi to be taken to Marsabit or Mombasa. Thank you, Chair.
Madam
Unless
Chair.
you have something else to say.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Madam Chair, yes.
Honorable,
Madam Chair.
Honorable Joseph, did you have something? It's okay. Let the Vice Chair goes first, and then you can give your comment.
Madam Chair, listening to the President of Chamber of Commerce, Madam Chair, business people, they are supposed to be time conscious. But from the program that he has developed here today, Madam Chair, from the beginning, the first time they started engagement was on 23rd June. Up to today, the last communication was 12th August. That was back and forth, the engagement between Chamber of Commerce, Ministry, and KEMSA. Chairman, the President for Chamber of Commerce, it is only government that we associate with bureaucracy and laxity and communication breakdown. But I could see a lot of bureaucracy here, the back and forth. Whereas you are passing the blame to KEMSA, there have been also, as in a lot of time that has been taken by even KEMSA, by National Chamber of Commerce. Which brings now the big question. Why all the 3 months? And remember the money that was released, because it is 2.5 months. The money was for emergency. You know very well when it comes to the issue of emergency, it should not take more than 7 days. It should have taken 7 days. It should have been taken 1 day. If it comes to the issue of Sambo, it should not have taken 14 days the way you have taken. What you should have done is to come up with one Sambo, test it with Kenya Bureau of Standards, and then send it to the manufacturers, saying that this is the standardized mask that will be required for distribution. But now look here, you are falling into the same mess that we have now with other institutions like KEMSA. And then two, you've raised concern here that your biggest challenge or bottlenecks in distribution on manufacturing of these masks is KEMSA. Then it brings me to the other question. You as the president of Chamber of Commerce, you know that the minister is there. This was a presidential directive for two reasons. One was to build capacity for your members. Build Kenya, buy Kenya. And then two, ensure that there is face mask for protection. At that time when there was crisis, now it is 3 months, the same people, your members, they have not even gotten the money. You should have, today, the question here that everybody should be asking you is that why haven't you approached the cabinet minister, secretary, over this matter if there is bureaucracy at KEMSA? And then, when there is delay, it raises suspicion. That there is then again, was there bureaucracy in identification of the members? Was there negotiation and discussion on how much it is going to be what people are going to make? So then we give to this company, we give to this company, we are not going to give this company. And then lastly, assure the committee and Kenyans and your members in general, because I'm speaking also on behalf of many small traders and manufacturers, that you have put in place mechanism that is going to ensure free and fair identification of manufacturers. It should not be selective process where tomorrow there will be traders or manufacturers who will be demonstrating against the government saying this government did not consider us. And you know this has become the song in this country. This is anything that comes up, it is the president. Yet in this case, the president on his own then decided, I will send money to Kenya Chamber of Commerce. Then the Chamber of Commerce will use their own internal mechanism and framework to identify the companies which are going to manufacture face mask. So assure Kenyans and your members that it is going to be a free and fair process of identifying the manufacturers.
Let me respond to Honorable Kutuni. Your first question is whether we are time conscious. I have demonstrated without any doubt that we have attempted to reach out to KEMSA so that they can be able to fast track. I do understand and agree with you that on emergency basis, it should take the shortest time possible. And in terms of the samples, and you talked of 14 days, I just want to tell you that, remember that this is new to everybody, including those local manufacturers. And therefore they needed to be guided on what to do, what material to use, the specifications that will meet the required mask, whether it is actually to be, to let you know is that some of them delivered samples, but those samples were 1 ply. The recommendation was 3 ply. And therefore, those kind of specifications, sizes, the bands they need to use, the color, the marking, that took time. Remember, each sample had to be printed or embroidered, MOH, GOK. So that also takes a bit of time. They were also requested to bring the packaging. That also takes a bit of time. Remember, packing a mask, you need also the intervention of NEMA because of the plastic bags. That again takes a lot of time. And therefore, as we were waiting for this negotiation, because we saw the challenges our members are facing, and we wanted during the negotiations to request that using the new specifications that have been provided by KEMSA and the Ministry of Health, we can then just have one standardized sample that we shall give, including when we are issuing out the orders, we shall give to these local manufacturers. The other question is, yes, you've just alluded that, yes, this is presidential directions, and we were trying to make sure that all these manufacturers are also supported. However, sometimes, Madam Chair, we do have no control of certain institutions. And therefore, when we try to make telephone calls and we are told to wait, we only wait. When we found and noted that this has taken far too long, yes, we did reach out to the Ministry of Health, and I believe they intervened. And that is why we were called this morning to go and fast-track the process. And you've talked about the bureaucracy. You talked about KEMSA. Again, we have no control as the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And for that reason, we are asking this committee, and I will say this again, help us, the private sector, to put a policy framework, to formulate a policy that will support the private sector so that we mitigate all these problems we are seeing, all these gaps we are seeing, all these roadblocks we are seeing. We want to have a conducive environment for all businesses, for all those manufacturers. You can imagine the same local manufacturers you're talking about. They are already frustrated because they can also see that the time has taken far too long. Your last question, Honorable Kuchuni, through the chair, is how do we assure traders of free and fair processes? Again, I want to confirm to you, Honorable Chair, that we have attempted at all times to communicate, to disseminate information through the members of the Fourth Estate who are here, and we have had several press conferences. Secondly, we have engaged our National Governing Council to also disseminate this information to everyone. And we are saying we have not closed. We are still reaching out. Please remember that not everybody wants to get into the business because they are not manufacturers, but we are encouraging them. There are those who feel they'll not be able to deliver because they don't have the capacity. And that is why we have come back to say, look, we as the Kenya National Chamber, we have a program with the MasterCard Foundation and other institutions, financial institutions like Equity Bank, and who can come to support them. For this MasterCard Foundation, it is interest-free, and I believe we shall reach out to them to also take up, because we cannot pay them in advance. And therefore, we have a mechanism to make sure that we reach out to them and they take the resources available so that they can be able to deliver these goods on time. And therefore, we shall commit to you that this process shall be free and fair. We shall, at every time, every moment, we shall communicate through the partnership we have with the reputable companies and reputable media stations so that they can also disseminate that information to the public and so that they can be able to see exactly what we're doing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.